is I view rare diseases as one of the most critical public health care crises we face. Why? Well, and I'm sure people familiar with the field know what I'm about to say. But there are more than 7,000 known rare diseases. We now know the genetic mechanism underlying some 80% of those. It's thought we'll work out the balance by 2020 or thereabouts. And we know that these diseases affect, generally speaking, about 1 in 10 in the general population. That's more than 30 million people here in the United States, more than 30 million in Europe and the European Union countries. Worldwide, this is a global crisis, and worldwide we think there's more than 300 or 400 million. But nobody really knows because so many patients go undiagnosed for most of these diseases still today. So if we look at the scope and scale of the problem facing us, we say, wow, there are so many patients suffering from a rare disease, most of which, but not all, but most of which are inherited genetic diseases, and therefore they affect children. More than 50 or 70% of these diseases affect children at birth, and the disease progresses until, in some cases, they terminate at an early age. So very high mortality. In other cases, it's a slow, agonizing loss of function that goes into adulthood and affects a patient and that patient's caregivers, the medical industry, healthcare providers for decades and decades. So let's step back and look at the problem again. 1 in 10 suffering from one of these diseases, more than 30 million in the US, elsewhere in the world is mentioned, but only 5% have an available treatment. If we look at this as a scaled problem, meaning a large problem, we can contrast it to say that there are more patients today suffering from rare diseases than all of the cancer patients and all of the patients in the world suffering from HIV/AIDS put together. When I say that at conferences, that shocks some people to hear, but it's factual. Now, we're working hard with lots of resources towards those diseases, as we should. But in the case of rare diseases, it's really a complex, confounding problem. It's a real conundrum. While there are so many people affected, they're divided into so many diseases. It can range from 100,000 patients in the world all the way down to single digits of known patients with a particular disease. So it also presents a conundrum to the industry that we've relied on to develop medical treatments, drug therapies, more recently biologic therapies, and as we're hearing this week, increasingly gene therapies. Why? Imagine running a company or converting a company that was born around 1 or 2 mega products that sold billions of dollars, and you developed a massive infrastructure, hundreds of thousands of employees, working in laboratories, educating healthcare professionals about new treatments, doing the manufacturing and distribution. Now imagine trying to get that company to do all those functions for 1,000 products instead of 1 or 2. It's readily seen and evident that the challenge of rare diseases is with us. We have to start thinking about doing things differently if we're really going to make an impact. I recently heard the director of NIH mention on Rare Disease Day that at the pace we're going in introducing new treatments for rare diseases, it will take us 1,000 years to find treatments for all these diseases. I don't think anybody in America, anybody in the world that has a family suffering from these diseases can tolerate that, and they shouldn't. So we need to do something different. We need to try. So the state of rare diseases, on the one hand, is balanced by Lots of optimism because of the breakthroughs in basic discovery science being made at our academic institutions every day around the world. But on the other hand, too few of those discoveries have found a pathway to become a treatment. Therefore, we're facing a large problem.